Welcome to Rock and Recovery, where we're going to be talking here in a minute with Grace Ogren. I hope I say that last name right. And first of all, I want to say this month is Suicide Prevention Month. So 988 in the U.S. and Canada. In the UK, it's 111. Reach out and talk to somebody if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling like you don't matter or you're a burden. You're not. So reach out and get some help. And anybody out there that's listening, get a hold of somebody. Check on your friends, check on your loved ones. Just check on people that you love. Make sure that they know that you see them. That's all that matters. It's also Recovery Awareness Month. So everybody out there in recovery, I love you. You're worth it. Keep on doing it. And here is Grace.
Hello.
Hi, Grace.
Hi.
How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I've had better days, but I've had worse days too.
Yeah.
I literally just did a podcast that I forgot that I had.
Oh.
And yeah, I mean, I've just been busy and it's like, okay. Yeah. They scheduled like 2 days ago and I'm like, I remember kind of. So tell me about your struggles and your addiction. I know you said, I read your profile and growing up, you grew up with it, and the mental health. That's a big issue right there, just mental health. I think we're all in recovery from some sort of life issue. So, I might not be relatable to somebody else, but we all can relate in one thing, the emotions and the feelings. We're all recovering from that, no matter what. So tell me a little bit about yourself and tell everybody else about you, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I currently work now as a clinical research specialist at a behavioral health company. So I'm in this field, and it's been a really good fit for me because I have had my own personal struggles, I guess, with depression and suicidality and like self-harm. So that started when I was like 14 and lasted a few years being really bad, and then it kind of went away, and then like 6 months ago it came back, and it was, well, I guess maybe like 2 years ago it came back, and then it was there for another 2 years. 6 months ago it got really bad. So I came out of intensive treatment back in January of this year, and now I'm here doing this work, and I get to contribute actually with my story in some way. So it's been it's a cool, like.
So you still battle depression and those thoughts and daily?
Yeah, it's been much better. Like I'm probably doing now the best that I've done in my life. So that's nice. But usually once it starts for me, it's like years of it and with varying intensity, but yeah, kind of creeps up.
How do you deal with that? Is it just by being very aware, reaching out, talking to other people? How do you deal with that? That's got to be hard.
Yeah. I hope now at least that I will deal with it better, but previously I kind of just didn't deal with it. And
yeah,
I didn't let it get bad, but I always was thinking like, well, maybe it needs to hit this point for me to do something, or it needs to get this much worse, or else people are going to think I'm just looking for attention or something. So
it's not as bad as I think type thing.
Yeah. So like, because it's like, if you go to get treatment, you're admitting that there's a problem, and that's really scary. So,
and we hate when we're the problem. So,
yeah,
when we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, you know what, you're the problem,
uh-huh.
That makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping basically now, with all this hindsight that I've gathered, to just go get treatment if it starts getting like becoming an issue. And I think just dealing with it though continuously, like currently I'm in therapy, taking medications, and just making it all like a regular rhythm for me, because I know previously
more structure.
If I felt like I could get off of a medication, I would like try to immediately because I just didn't want to be on them.
Yeah.
Or I would stop therapy as soon as I felt like I could. But I learned to like, if it's working, that's the point, and stick with it.
Yeah. It's not one of those one and done things. I
Yeah.
went to therapy. I'm cool. I'm good now.
Right.
Yeah. You got to keep going back because even when the therapist says, I think you're good today. No, ma'am. I need it now still.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about your addiction and your struggles growing up as a kid and how that led to your possible mental health, right now.
Mm-hmm. Addiction wise, I've never struggled with like a substance use disorder, but I would say behaviorally, that's what self-harm became for me. And thankfully it's been like 6 years since I've done it. So it's been a while, but it took about 4 to stop. So that was, in my mind, it felt like I didn't have control over it and didn't think I was ever going to be able to stop.
Was it a pain thing because that pain was better than the other pain of, inside your head pain?
Yeah, it's kind of like translating it into something I could deal with. Yeah.
And I understand that totally. I found out myself, just through self-reflection. I'm like, I did that shit too. I'm like, I wouldn't have even have thought that, and all of a sudden it hit me like, wow, and because, a part of me, was always dealing with that too, but the physical pain I can take.
Mm-hmm.
I can take physical pain.
Yeah.
But that emotional and mental pain, I didn't like at all. And because it sticks with you. And if I could get out of my head by doing something else, hey, this pain heals.
Right.
It gets over quick. Was that the same?
Yes. Yeah. And like chemically, I guess, in the brain, like that release of chemicals when you have pain like that, I think is what really made it stick for me too, because it was like I would get some relief just from that. And yeah, it was definitely a way to make my pain visible and then distract from the emotional pain, because like you said, it's not something you can just like put a band-aid on. But
you can't.
Yeah,
it's a temporary solution to a permanent problem type thing.
Yeah. And then you said childhood. I had a really good childhood, actually. But we moved states when I was 13. And I think that was a catalyst for a lot because it was a totally new environment. I started 2 new schools and living in a really, really rural area. And that I think really like compounded everything because there was not only like
a lot of inclusion and, you're an outsider type thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It felt like I was just never going to be one of the in people.
The cool kids. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's like the isolation aspect because you're kind of literally isolated, and then socially for me. And then needing help, there just wasn't any. I think there was like one therapist in the whole town. Took me a long time to get in with her. And then when things got worse, there was nothing else I could do. Really, I couldn't go anywhere else.
So when did you start recognizing that you weren't normal? Societal normal.
Yeah.
Because, when did you start becoming self-aware of inside that you weren't the person, that something's wrong with you in your head?
Mm-hmm.
Your thinking's flawed. When did you start realizing that, and what was that process like?
The first way it happened was with social anxiety. I had pretty bad social anxiety, and I would get panic attacks in school. And that was when it clicked of like, I don't think people get this nervous about either talking or just being seen. So that was kind of my like realization with the anxiety side of things. And then with depression, it was a conversation I had with my mom, and I just told her what I was thinking, and she started to cry and just said, like, that's really bad depression. And like, that's, it's not normal. And I remember thinking, like, it's not. Like, I thought everyone thought these
Right.
things. It feels so normal to me. And I just was like, okay, I guess this isn't normal, but I didn't really know what to do about it. And I don't think none of us really did.
So working in the field you do, how's that anxiety of meeting new people, being out there, make the fear of judgment from others? How does that affect you, daily? Do you still get those panic attacks, that agoraphobia? Is it?
Yeah, I don't get the panic attacks anymore.
Yeah.
That was almost always stopped after high school. So that's great, because that sucked. Yeah.
I think all kids in high school, if you're not part of it, I think there's so now that there is in the world that we live in today, the PC world, that everybody has a degree of anxiety. And that's just growing up from kids, because we're so judged on looks, on everything else, on the clothes you wear, the things you do, are you popular or not? And that gets so ingrained because social media and TV makes this person cool and this person not cool. So let's pick on the person that's cool or not cool and make ourselves look cooler.
Right.
Yeah. It's just a big cycle, and it leads to a lot of these teenagers and a lot of these people going into high school and coming out of high school have these issues of anxiety, and they don't know why. Well, I'll tell you why. It's that fear of this social interaction, that people are so judgmental and hurtful when they don't need to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's a brutal world as a kid that does not need to be there.
As a kid, you shouldn't have to be dealing with anything but kid problems.
Yeah.
Be a kid, and that entails all the things kids do. Get in trouble, as long as it's not terrible trouble. Go get in trouble. Go outside. Go play. Go do something. Go use your imagination.
Right.
And work that shit out.
Exactly.
So how does that anxiety affect you now? I know you say you don't get it as much, and being in the field that you are, talking to people and putting yourself out there, I commend you for doing that. I mean, that had to have been like, you sure you want me to do this? Because I have anxiety. And you want me to go over there and talk to those people I don't know? I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's been almost funny to me. I'm so introverted and have this social anxiety, and I'm up now doing presentations at conferences. I'm like the last person who I feel like should be doing it, but it's been good. Like, I've realized that I can, in a sense, and I think what's helped with the anxiety is the feeling like I'm knowing what I'm talking about, because I've lived it, and that's a lot of where my contribution comes in. So it's been kind of just growing in that assurance of, like, I can be up here, I can have an opinion, and
your opinion does matter.
Yeah, and that people can think what they want of it, but what I was realizing is, like, that doesn't change my reality.
It doesn't change who you are either.
Yeah.
An opinion is not a fact. It's a fact to that person, but it's just the way they think. Opinions are not necessarily always facts.
Yeah.
And if you, like you said, I think your knowledge base helps you not be anxious in a certain topic.
Yeah.
Because you know what you're talking about. So these people can sit there and listen. It's like, are you sure? Damn straight, I'm sure. Tell me I'm not sure when I just lived through the shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know what I got the education. I've not only got the education, I've lived through it. So tell me where you're lacking.
Yeah. I think, lived experience, or more so saying my story, that's been the most intimidating part. And I'm still not there fully with, like, telling coworkers actually, but I feel much more comfortable telling strangers. But
Well, I'm
it's
not
like,
going to tell you to get you anxiety at all, but I am broadcast like on all podcast platforms. So I'm not trying to lift up your anxiety anymore. I just wanted to let you know. Uh, you're like, yeah, thanks for letting me know now. So go ahead and let me hear your story.
As far as like the depression recovery,
All of it. Go for it.
yeah. Who? I guess I would say it. The main, almost like theme of my story is how long it took to get help. That was kind of the big antagonist, mostly, even beyond the actual depression. And I think it was living in that very rural area. So I had started feeling, depressed. And even as I realized it wasn't like the normal headspace that most people are in, like I had mentioned, it just felt so normal and like there was no other way to be. So I kind of just didn't think too much of it. I was pretty miserable, but it felt like so undefeatable. And then it got worse and worse. And I started to self-harm in 10th grade. So I was 15. And that lasted until I was 17, I think. And it just kind of like that and the depression just like ramped up. Like every week and every month, it was getting worse. And eventually I was at an appointment with my doctor to talk about medications because I was also like starting a new one every month, just trying to get something to work. And she sent me to the ER because she thought I should be hospitalized. And
So
that
Baker
was
acted you.
what?
Was it the Baker Act?
She
What
didn't,
is that?
I think she didn't force me necessarily, but my mom was at that appointment with me and she was just like, you need to go to the ER and like see how that shakes out. And I ended up like not going that time. I felt like I should. And I think it was scary in a way. And my parents had ideas about like, of course they didn't want me to go to the psych ward and I didn't want to either, but I thought like, well, maybe that would help. And so when a few months passed after that and things were just not any better, I'd been talking with my therapist about hospitalization, and she talked with my parents about it, and they kind of left it up to me if I should go. And I said yes. So I went, and I was there for 8 days. And it was kind of just like what you see in the movies, I would say. I had really good like nurses and stuff, and I was the only kid there. I was 17, so not really a kid, but everyone else was older, and I think the nurses
Right.
just kind of took me under their wing.
You're like
And
the ward's daughter type thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I got new medications, and I started feeling better. And I left, and I had to enroll in a partial hospitalization program. That was really helpful because I was with other kids who were going through the same thing. And then I went to college, kept feeling better, and things are kind of just going up until I think I was about 20, and I started to fall a little bit. I was dealing with insomnia, and that was really hard on my all areas of life, but mentally especially. then that got better. And then when I was maybe 21, 22, it started kind of layering back in, where I was recognizing like, oh man, I think the depression is coming back. But the denial was so strong, and it was kind of like before, when I was like, if I just don't look at it, it'll go away. And like if I acknowledge it, I'm gonna have to go tell my parents like I think it's back, and like everyone's gonna freak out and just be sad. And I feel like I'm gonna freak out if I acknowledge it too. So I put it off, and I've tried to make it casual going back on antidepressants.
Did you kind of like hide your depression from your parents so they wouldn't feel bad or like ashamed? Was it more that you didn't want to bring them down, that it wasn't their fault, so you don't want to burden them? You felt, so you kind of hid it a lot?
Yeah, I didn't want them to, it really, like my mom would get really affected by me being so sad. And so it's like, this is obviously really hard on them, and that's good in a way, like they care, and I'm really lucky to have that. But I was like, I don't want to bring it back unless it's 100%. So I was always thinking like, maybe it'll pass, maybe tomorrow it'll be better. And then it just kind of became all consuming like it did before. And I was kind of kicking myself. I was like, I've been through this, how did I not catch it in time? And so
Because your body's telling you it's bad, but your mind's telling you it's not that bad. I can make it. I can do it again. We'll just see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then yesterday got pounded on today, which get pounds on tomorrow, and it just keeps building up. And all of a sudden we're in a space that we didn't even realize you got there.
Yeah, exactly. And so it kind of all hit, and I was like, oh, shoot. But through my work, I had learned about like treatment options I didn't even know were real. Even just the fact that there's residential places you can go if you have depression, and some of them were just for teenagers, and that was like mind-blowing to me.
So these residential places that are just for teenagers, I don't know how it works this way, but I know somebody with a teenager that needs mental help, and he's got some issues. He's threatened the school. He's threatened other kids. He's threatened himself, his mom, and his brother. I know this is probably right on topic because you said there's all of these resources for teenagers. He's 13. The judge said he needs treatment. He needs to be in a residential place, and they live in Tennessee. So. And she's finding it more and more difficult that all the places that she goes to is denying her son, and he's in the hospital right now. He's being honest with these people. And so is there places just for like that type of case, or, is because literally he's a great kid, but he's got some issues, and nobody's, he's involved in the legal system now because threatening people at school and getting bullied, and then reacting, and yes, they're trying to catch it early. And yes, with all the violence in schools going around, they took it serious. Now CPS is involved, and they're all saying he needs residential treatment. We're taking him. You need to find him a place. He's in the hospital, and the places that they're getting recommended to are denying him. So how is the mom supposed to go forward trying to get help for her son when everybody keeps denying?
Yeah, I don't have like a good answer, I don't think, because.
Yeah, it's case by case, I know.
Yeah, but that's, to your point, like to me, what I've seen, there's either like, if you have that type of case, you go pay out of pocket somewhere super fancy that can't deny you, or you go to like what do they call it, teen challenge or something, and like a wilderness camp. So like what's in between? And
right,
I think it becomes really tricky when they see anything on the record of like danger to others. And for
Right.
me, in my experience, like danger to self was getting me denied from a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
I could really like emphasize with that. There needs to be like an in between. Yeah.
There does. There's got to be more adults just willing to listen to kids.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Because they got a voice too. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. Their voices could be nonverbal. It could just be actions. Their voices, actions speak louder than words. Nonverbal communication is 90% of communication anyway. You know, and so it's hard to me being a father and a male. It's hard to watch somebody go through something without trying to say, "Hey, are you?" and fixing it. Not fixing it necessarily, but trying to stop it from happening
Mhm.
you know and because if I'm aware of it, and if somebody's I it feels like you could stop it. Like you need to
Right.
protect not only the person but everybody else from the person. So it's like a two-way. You're trying to protect one person and then trying to protect all these other people from the person that you're trying to protect. It's really hard sometimes,
Yeah.
but you know and it's when we don't listen to kids, things like this happen. you know Things like the school shootings, unfortunately,
Mhm.
they happen. They're going to continue to happen until something's
Yep.
done about it, until kids feel safe with people they can talk to.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's my opinion, but it's going to keep happening as long as kids feel safe, uh, don't feel safe talking to an adult or somebody else in that space, whether it be an older peer, an older kid that's gone through, similar situations, that is a best friend and not going to judge them. But
Mhm.
now this world is so gossipy and rumor, we can't tell anybody anything because it's going to get back to somebody else,
Yep.
because that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what today is now. It's all social media and ooh, so and so told me this. Let's go. Now what?
Mhm.
So it's so hard for a kid to learn how to trust somebody when they really don't even trust their parents yet.
Yeah.
Especially if you can't talk to your parents without them getting angry,
Mhm.
them getting hurt, or bringing them down. You don't want to burden them with your problems because
Yeah, right.
it's only kid problems. How many times as a kid did I see, go be a kid,
Uh-huh.
go work it out, go work it out. And it's true though, the more, unless we bring awareness to it, and for teenagers especially, younger, right at the threshold of, you know, choosing which way you're going to go down, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. And I was thinking while you were saying that it feels like the only safe space right now is like in therapy. But then it can be so hard to get into therapy, and then it's so stigmatized too to go to therapy.
Just
So,
asking for help, for saying, I think I've got something wrong in my head.
yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. That means you're the problem.
Uh-huh. You're one of those. Yeah.
You know, it's just crazy because I see these people all the time, and I'm sorry for interrupting and continuing to interrupt, but I relate and I have all these questions, and it's just my way of communication is, you know, and I don't mean to interrupt you, so
Oh, it's all good.
continue.
Um, yeah, so I had learned about types of treatment from my work, and that led me to doing ketamine infusions. So I did that, and by that point, it was pretty bad. So it was like, okay, this has to work. And I had seen so much good stuff about it and heard so many people were like, feel completely different after one appointment. And so I had decently high hopes. And I remember thinking, if this doesn't work, I'm going to have to like either do partial hospitalization or residential, or I don't even know. I didn't want to think about it even. So I had a lot riding on it. And for the IV infusions, they start you off with 6, and you either do 3 weeks of it, or you either do 1 week for 6 weeks or 2 for 3. And because of how bad things were for me, and what I mean by that is like the suicidal ideation that was back in full swing and pretty overwhelming. And they knew that, and I was worried about getting denied because I had been denied I applied to like some online ketamine clinic where they send you the stuff, and they said, go to the ER. And yeah, but this place, they took me. They were like used to dealing with people with suicidal ideation. So I went in for the 6 treatments, and I did 2 a week. And so I had to take off, used up like all my sick time, and because I would work a half day and then you had to just be done afterwards because I was usually pretty out of it. But yeah, first session was scary. I learned a lot about how you should do it, and basically you just need to listen to like the right kind of music is what I found out. So if anyone is wanting to do IV ketamine, find some good like classical music is what worked good for me. And I didn't feel anything special after the first time. And then the second time I even had like visions, I guess, of me that I had died during the treatment. And I kind of thought I would feel some like, oh no, or I'll try to like fight through this and wake up, because it was feeling like I couldn't breathe. And but I remember just feeling like really relieved, like complete relief. And there was like no part of me that was upset. And when I woke up like that, it just was like, oh, I thought if you kind of face death and
Face your fear, yeah.
that it would kind of snap me out of it, but it didn't. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't do this if it is making me feel like I'm dying.
Right.
I'm happy that I feel like that. But I kept doing it, and it got better each session. Like I got a little more used to it and knowing what to expect. But still at the end of 6, I didn't feel different. Like I don't feel like it hurt, but it just didn't have like the miraculous night and day type of thing that a lot of people had. And I found out later, or I knew some people wouldn't respond to it, but it was like a 30% chance that you like wouldn't at all. And so I was like, oh, of course I'm in the 30%, but I ended up I did 2 more sessions. They called them boosters, like 2 months after the 6. And that was like a different technique, apparently. So it felt a little better, but I didn't, again, feel much. But I was like, if it's not hurting, maybe it's doing something, because I know what it does in the brain, and like that can help me even if I don't feel great or much different. Right. But I think after the 2 boosters, I was like, I think this just isn't right for me, so I stopped. And then things, kind of tanked after that. And I think it was because I had tried like the ketamine. It was like, that's my last resort. And I tried it and it didn't really work, but I kind of got a little bit better by I was on medications therapy. And so I thought, okay, I'm kind of coasting right now. I'm kind of in the clear. And then when it started coming back, it was like, I've already done.
Come back harder.
Yeah. And I just felt so much more hopeless because I had done this big, like, wild thing for me, which was doing the ketamine. And I was like, if that didn't work, and I've been doing medications, I've been doing therapy, like, I'm screwed, is what it felt like. And so I think that made it like easier almost to just fall and get back in the pit and just kind of feel like, all right, I'm going to be here a while and this is just going to be what happens. And I kind of just had like the fight taken out of me is what it felt like, because I had tried so much and kind of put so much on different things to work, and then it didn't. And it's like, well, I actually went out and tried. You know, you ask for help and you try, and it doesn't
Right.
work. And it's like, almost maybe, should I have even tried in the first place? Because
Right.
now I've got this like confirmation of,
I'm fucked. Nothing's
Uh-huh.
gonna work.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
And here you
So-
are, just did a treatment, and you pictured yourself not here, and you felt better.
Uh-huh.
You know, so now those thoughts are even more present in your
Yep.
head.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, great.
So the ketamine kind of made it worse instead of better because it put you in a different type of headspace.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you find that worked for you?
Yeah, so that kind of segues into, I would say, the crisis point that I hit in November. And I basically just, I felt like I was 100% like not gonna make it, you know, and I told my parents, like, I need to go back to the hospital, because last time I was like, they switched up my medications and did all of this stuff in a very controlled environment, and you can kind of make a quick pivot with all that. So it's like, that worked last time, so I want to try that. And for the safety aspect is what my therapist would mention, like, if you get suicide off the table like it is when you're in a hospital, you can kind of focus more on like
You can
getting
focus
better.
on the main issue.
So
Yeah.
that was appealing. And then I was 100% sure that if I didn't do something, like, I wasn't gonna last much longer. So
And this
I
was
made-
just in November.
yeah, so
Ooh.
I made that decision. It was kind of hard for all of us, but I was there for like half the time, so 4 days, and they did the same thing, like switched up all my medications. And then I actually ended up having a really bad reaction in one of them, went back to the hospital. And what I didn't know either, the first or the second time that I was hospitalized, is that your like risk for suicide is, I think it's 300 times higher in the first like month or so after you're hospitalized. And I think it's because of what was similar to the ketamine. It was like, I just went to the hospital, and now how do I feel like this again? And then it's like, I've already done the thing, like the hospital's highest you can go. And that's exactly what happened to me this time. It was like, shoot, I've really, really done like everything that I know how to do and what to do. But I still, some part of me still was like wanting it to be better.
You wanted to get better, but you didn't know how.
Yeah.
And just thinking about wanting to get better and not knowing how made it worse.
Yeah. And like, I knew, because of my work, I know there's outpatient, I know there's residential, but you still don't know what it's going to be like or what to expect. And
here comes that anxiety again.
So, and similarly, I was like, what if I try residential, or if I try partial hospitalization again and it still doesn't work? And that's like really scary. But I enrolled in a partial hospitalization program local to me, And then they ended up, I was either going to be kicked out or I would have to go to residential. So I went to residential and was there for about 10 days, and I discharged myself like AMA, but I had reasons. And then went back down to partial hospitalization. So I had taken a leave of absence from my work. So I was gone for about 2 months, and I came back in January and went back to full time. And while I was in the second round of partial hospitalization, they diagnosed me with type 2 bipolar, and they said that that's why the depression can be so strong, because I was telling my therapist, it's clicked off. I can feel it. That's why I discharged myself from residential. It's I don't need to be
That's
here.
why you stop your meds. That's why you discharge
Yeah,
yourself.
just
Because
clicked.
all of a sudden I feel great again. I feel okay. So I don't need none of this other stuff because I feel good. And that's when everything starts going bad again.
Yeah. And so I was like, that, it made a lot of sense for me, that diagnosis. And with that, I started a medication that's meant for bipolar, because regular antidepressants can actually make it worse if it's bipolar. And so it was new medications, and then we were approaching it as it being type 2 bipolar. And that kind of, it was hard. I don't want to have that. And in a way, it's just depression felt easier, because I was maybe it can go away. But it's bipolar is just how your brain works. And so it felt a little more damning in a way. But
having that label.
Yeah. But yeah, with knowing what it was, accurately, we could start getting a lot more accurate with treatment. So I've had a lot of took a while to figure out medications, the right one and then the right dose.
Oh, I'm sure that exploratory process was great.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. And then I also started doing the keto diet. Actually, I've seen some research about it helping with bipolar and schizophrenia, and someone else in my church did it for depression, and it really helped him, and my parents do it. And so I was I'll give it a shot. And
putting the right food into your body.
Yeah. And I can't say for sure that that's made a huge difference. It feels like it to me. I feel different, but I'm also doing medications and therapy. So it's not like keto was this magic cure, but it feels like it's enough for me to keep doing it, because it is kind of a pain. But I do feel a lot more settled. And with the type 2 bipolar, there's hypomania, which I wasn't really a big issue for me. I'm just it just wasn't, as I had recognized it for sure. But the depression is what was the main issue. But on either side, I feel more settled. So I think I've been on a upward trend now, because I've got the right medication, and therapy is different because we're looking at it differently. And keto, I think, is doing something. And we've also really started to make plans for the possibility of it happening again, because
so you made plans for the switch going back the other way, just in case. What do we do now? What's my safety plan?
Yeah. And it's really hard to do. It was for me, because it's we're acknowledging that it could come back, and that sucks. But it's giving me such a peace of mind. Me
it sucks,
and my
but
parents,
it's manageable again.
Yeah. We know
there's
now
still hope at the end of the tunnel.
So once once there's signs, we've all just kind of agreed, like, we're going to try harder to do something about it right away. And now that we know that it can really progress quickly for
Fast.
me, yeah, where it's like, let's just start something as soon as possible and not put it off, because I was like, I didn't win anything by putting it off. And
So if you're when just a hypothetical, so you feel great. So I quit therapy. I quit taking my meds. What's your safety plan now? What do you have people around you that are going to say, you like your therapist saying, you missed, you're not missing again, or else you need to come in now, or do you got your parents, you said, or the people just in your life now, are they aware of this, and are they part of your safety plan?
Yeah, yes to both. They're very ingrained in the safety plan, I would say, especially my parents. And I have a counselor too, who's kind of like a family friend. She's very involved. So I've got, like 2 family members, a friend, and then my therapist, who could all be like, hey, like, don't.
So the therapist is calling mom and dad and saying, your daughter missed today. Where is she?
Yep. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that feels good too, knowing that I've got that established. And that was something that we focused on so much in treatment, was the safety plan, but it felt more like real and helpful when I actually just did it with me and my parents, and we really just talked about what it's going to look like, and what the plan is. And that just feels really nice to me, to have a plan.
Right. So, what was I going to ask? I had this great question, or something I was going to say great, and it slipped my mind. Oh, I know you mentioned church earlier. Is church a big part of your life, and are you involved in that? Mm-hmm. And my higher power is Jesus Christ. Have you gone that route at all?
Yeah,
in your trying to recover from this, or just trying to get normal again?
Mm-hmm.
Normal.
Yeah, it's definitely a big part, and especially when I was younger, going through it. When it was really bad, I had so much support from my pastor and his wife, and it felt just more special because the comments I had heard at church from other people were like, kids wouldn't be depressed if they had Jesus, and if you were praying, you wouldn't be depressed. But he didn't have that attitude, and they just kind of were supportive. And now at the church I'm at currently, it's the same thing, where the pastor has talked about his experiences with depression and anxiety, and his mom's experiences. And so I felt very like it's like okay to have these feelings and be a Christian. And it's like,
absolutely.
And I think that was a really big part of my recovery, was when I got the diagnosis and stuff. It's like, well, it's me and God. It's like God versus this, and he wins every battle. So I'm going to be fine. And
you are. Let's face it. You've got 100% success rate on survival right now. Mm-hmm. You've got 100% success rate on going through all your bullshit and all this depression, all this other bullshit, life bullshit. You've got 100% success rate, and for that, you should be proud of yourself. That right there. Yeah. You're still here to help somebody else, and that's even more important. Mm-hmm. And so just you sitting up here and telling this, I know has helped a couple friends of mine, and I know has helped me understand it more. And you are an amazing individual.
Right back at you. Thank you.
Thank you. And don't you forget about it, because like I said, if we haven't gone through it, I might not have gone through the same things, but we can relate and we can still help somebody else, and bringing awareness to it right now is helping somebody else. You know, I know a friend of mine popped in the room real quick, and she said, if I had paid attention if someone would have paid attention when I was a kid, I could have been saved from a life of addiction and mental health crisis.
Mm.
You know, and she's in the same boat as you, as her depression is bad. She's got all these labels except for PhD at the end of her name, and on 50 different meds, and you know, all this other bullshit. But you know what? She's still making it. You know, she's still living out the day. And that's the most important thing for all of us is, you know what? Anxiety is thinking about the future. And as long as we live in today, it's not as bad,
Yeah.
you know, and you're doing the best thing you can for yourself. And that's helping other people while keeping yourself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the biggest things in whatever recovery is helping somebody else keeps us accountable.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it probably keeps you going back to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps you, it's like, oh, damn, how can I tell this person to take his meds when I'm not taking my meds?
Right.
You know? So you catch yourself. It's like, I didn't, oh, man. Yeah. You know, and that's the best thing is right there is just helping each other. It keeps us accountable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if I'm going to talk about it, I sure don't want to be that hypocrite and do it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It's because that's just like, okay, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you. You know, you're facing this head on, and you've done all these things, and straight up, just all this hyper whatever about ketamine, and sometimes it works for certain people, and sometimes it doesn't. You came up here and told your story.
Mm-hmm.
No fear. You know,
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, don't think that you're not working miracles daily because you're a miracle yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and don't ever get in your head that you don't think that you're worth it or you're a burden, because you're not to the right people.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that matters. Have the right people in your life and you'll never be a burden. You'll never be too much. You'll be just enough.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for saying that.
And that's all it takes is the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Right people in your life. That's it. I thank you for having me, or I thank you for coming up here. I was going to say I thank you for having me on your show, but this ain't your show.
Thanks for having me on your show.
I thank you for accepting the invitation and coming and bringing awareness to this being the month that it is.
Mm-hmm.
The Suicide Prevention Month.
Yep.
988 in US and Canada, 111 in the UK, or phone a friend. You know, and if you're the friend, answer the damn call.
Yes. Yep.
And check on those people that care about you or you care about. Check on them. You know, that's all it takes is a little bit of connection,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of worry, a little bit of love, a little bit of communication, and we can prevent suicide. Come on, people. It's really easy.
All the difference. Yep.
It's really easy. Just to let somebody know that you see them, that they're visible, that they're noticed.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. Well, Grace, it's been great meeting you and great talking to you. And I'm going to let you go. I hope we stay connected and you talk to me more in the future and tell me how you're going, how everything is.
Sounds great.
Maybe we'll do another show in about 6 months. See how you are then.
Check in.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Grace. And that's Rock and Recovery. Y'all, that's Grace. She's awesome. Thank you, Grace.
Thanks.